Great.
Pleasure. Um, so I believe we've had an initial call with a colleague, and then he mentioned he wanted to ensure that there's more people joining, as far as I remember, right? Um, so it'd be interesting to understand maybe a bit from your side. So we'll do a quick, brief introduction. We have a few slides prepared, and then we will do the demo session for you. But it'd be just interesting to see how well we're aligned with your colleague in terms of what is the required from your side, right? So I remember it was web-based Flutter application for airlines, so web and mobile testing. There's several thousand test cases that you were going through, and you're currently using Selenium, and now you want to improve testing, reduce maintenance, and find a way to streamline the process. So this is what we have from the initial discussion with your colleague. I don't know how far or how, is this correct so far? Can you tell us more?
Okay, so we prefer to start from the beginning because our colleague is now in another activities. So
yeah.
Christian and Miguel are the QA automation team that will be in charge to explore this tool, and they know the project deeply. So it's better for they to start from the beginning because they weren't in the first reunion meeting. Sorry.
Exactly.
Okay.
Sure. Okay, perfect. All right, then just a quick round of introduction then. So my name is Bishan Hafar. I'm based in Vienna, Austria. I'm an account executive, so I'm responsible for commercials, for helping evaluate ACCELQ and kind of, main point of contact. And on the call, I have Jean-Luc. If you want to say 2 words for yourself.
Sure. So my name is Jean-Luc Malvoisin. I'm based in France, and pre-sales for ACCELQ, dealing with technical stuff, demos, POCs. Here for you.
Perfect. The floor is yours.
Hi. Sorry, can you repeat that again? Sorry.
I was saying, so did you hear the introduction from our side? We've introduced ourselves, and we'd like to give it to you to introduce yourself, and then just give us an idea of how we can help today.
Okay, we are a aviation software company. So our system is related to the DCS, that is the operation, all the operations activities that happens in an airport. So it's all related to create flights, schedules, and create passengers, check-in, create baggage tag.
Okay. I think we lost you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Sorry. No, okay, again. So our system is a DCS. DCS is the part that operates all the airline activities in the airports. So our systems start from the create schedules and flights. So passengers, check-in passengers, create baggage tags, check-in and boarding, and another huge amount of process that involves that passengers. Okay, our system is too big, is huge, and is complex. It has a high level of complexity. So that's why we use the automation that we have is based on Selenium and Java. So we have a huge amount of test cases, like 2,400, more or less. So our automation is too dedicated, or test cases are too specific, are too they are deep in each functionality that we need to test, just for regression tests. So our regression test is complex, is heavy. So we need now we start the journey to find an application that help us to create these cases in a easier way, so that won't or try to not involve too much code. So it will be easy or easier for the QA team, for the testers to develop test cases in a way that can be fast and reliable. So, but also we need that those test cases needs to be consistent, and they need to integrate well with all the automation project, all the test cases. The new test cases that they create needs to be integrated to the whole test suite that is huge, and the regressions, the regression needs to be stable, because our staging servers sometimes are not that stable. Sometimes they have we can see delays or sometimes some things that maybe it can get difficult to perform a regression in the stable way that we want. I'm not sure if am I clear or.
Yeah. No. I fully understand what you're referring to, right? So we've had several customers who had very difficult staging environments, and they also needed a tool that fits in, it's stable, and doesn't have a lot of complexities to it. So I fully understand. What's important to me to understand, so this complex software, right, or complex system that you're testing at different levels. So this, my understanding is, in looking at how complex this is, this must be all different types of technologies that you're testing, right? So desktop applications, or maybe monolithic applications, web-based applications. Can you tell us more about the kind of setup of the system?
Okay. Yes. We have a web-based application. We also want to include API testing and mobile.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. Do you have any desktop or legacy systems?
No.
Okay.
Nothing desktop.
Regarding API, it's WebSocket, or it's I would say usual REST API.
Yes, REST API.
Okay.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Okay, so no problem at all. I mean, this is something that we do out of the box without any simplicity. That's kind of the usual use case that we have with our customers. So I don't think there's any complications from this side. Just some kind of administrative questions, maybe. So is this an actual project that's kind of signed off by management? Is there a timeline and a budget associated?
Actually, we don't have a budget to our research, so I think we are okay with that from the beginning. So this is not a problem for us.
No worries. So in terms of budget, we'll develop this over time. But is this an actual a project that's kind of commissioned by the management? Like, are you actively kind of needing to do an implementation in the next 2, 3, 4 months, or is there a timeline?
Oh, not really a timeline, but it has to be as soon as possible. We understand that maybe we need to start from the beginning to scratch from our first case. Maybe we need to develop everything from the scratch, but if that is what we gotta do, but it's okay. Just the purpose is everything will be easier for us, for the team.
No worries. So we do offer a one-time service for our customers, which allows us to look at what you have from your test suite and your test cases, and migrate what's possible, and then we'll see from there. Most of the things may have to be built from scratch, but we do have a kind of a service which kind of looks into this, our consultants, and they can do the migration for you. So that's something that we also offer. Um, in terms of team size, you said there's the two colleagues on the call, yourself, but how big is the testing team in general? So if you were to look into licenses and so on, how many licenses are you potentially looking at?
So regarding the licenses, so our team is 7 and 8 people. So the do everyone needs a license for? So it's one license for one person, right?
Yeah, it's a license per person, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So most people who need, so anybody who needs to build out test cases and run test cases and manage the whole process will need a license.
Okay.
So that just kind of gives you an idea of maybe how many users will need a license.
Okay, our team is 7 people.
Okay, no worries. All right. Are those purely QA engineer, like automation engineers on Selenium? Do you have manual testers as well?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Two automation engineers, and the rest are manual. But the idea is involve everyone in automation.
Exactly. Okay. And the rest are manual. Perfect. Okay. Perfect. And in terms of integrations, are you using things like Jira, Azure DevOps,
Yes.
Jenkins? Yeah.
Yes, we use Jira and X-Ray. So we need
Okay.
integration also with GitHub, Slack, and
Yeah.
AWS.
WS. Yeah. Okay, no worries. So
Regarding
everything
AWS,
yeah.
what is the integration you're looking for?
It's because we use AWS to launch the automated tests. From our repo, we use a workflow and we launch the automation in the cloud. So we create reports, we create videos, and we create a big report with all the test cases that were launched in that execution, in that case, or regressions. So that's why we need AWS, because we store all the reports and the videos there.
Okay.
Okay.
That's so important.
Sure. So, Jean-Luc, I think you're asking a bit. You're a bit confused because AWS being a cloud solution, right? So you're a bit confused as to why, what the integration is.
And basically, since we do also the reporting and the screenshots on our side, I was wondering, I mean, where is the need for AWS? Maybe it was because you had to deploy something on the AWS and run a couple of things there. That's why I was asking.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, we also use AWS for reporting and tracking test cases and the screenshots that are associated to it. ACCELQ is typically a cloud-based solution which is deployed on a public cloud, in this case AWS. And so there shouldn't be any problem, right? And we have support for the most common technologies you mentioned: X-Ray, Azure DevOps, GitHub, Slack. So there's no issues there.
That's great.
Yeah, so we'll go through this in a second. Just one thing to note. So, are you okay with a cloud-based solution on a public cloud?
What's the difference?
There's no difference. I'm just, wondering, is there any restrictions on your side, security restrictions that you're not allowed to be on the cloud or something? So we offer a public cloud for our customers, which you can choose any region or location. This could be Europe, it could be Americas, it could be wherever. And then, of course, if you wanted to go on-premise, you would have to install within your own cloud servers, on-prem cloud servers. So we would typically recommend the public cloud because it's the cheapest option for our customers.
Okay, that's something that we need to consider. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Which option is the best for us?
Exactly. So just to understand from security perspective also if there's any kind of requirements there, right? So typically how ACCELQ works is it's a cloud-based solution. You have a custom URL, you log in with your credentials, with your custom URL, and then from a browser, and then you're good to go, right? You can build test cases, you can run test
Uh-huh.
cases, you can create stuff. So we're a cloud-based, web-based solution, and that's something you should consider in terms of security and whatnot. We do have all the security compliance and certifications. So there's we work with banks, with governments, with airlines. So there's no kind of
Okay.
issues there, but it's just from your perspective if you need any kind of clearance from that perspective.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. Perfect. All right, then we have quite a bit of information already. So not to take up too much time for the demo, I'm gonna launch the presentation very quickly. Just go through some important slides, and then feel free to ask any questions if there's anything, and we are good to go with the demo as well.
Okay, before we can start, I have a question. Do
Sure.
we use Firefox 51 version? We use that old version because all our clients work with that. So do you support this old version for Firefox? We don't use Chrome, not that new browsers yet. No, we don't work with new versions yet. Maybe in the future, we don't know when, but
Yeah, let me
that.
check.
Mhm.
I mean, Firefox we do support, but let me check how old is this version, just in case. I mean,
Yes,
it's on Windows or it's yeah, on Windows, huh?
yeah, it's
Actually, it should not be a problem, but because actually, I mean, yeah, then I mean, if oh yeah, 27, yeah, it should be 8 years, blah blah blah. No, it should be okay. I will do a check later just to make sure that there is no problem. I mean, it's still download. Yeah, I can still download it, by the way, so it's I will make sure it's fine. But yeah, I don't see why it should not work.
okay. Okay,
Okay.
that would be great.
Okay, perfect. All right, then let me launch.
And by the way,
So
I
you see
mean,
my,
sorry,
yeah,
just yeah.
sure,
And by the way,
sure.
currently, if you are doing automation, you can automate on that version of Firefox already or not?
Yes, we do it in that version. That's why we use Selenium and Java because they support our
Okay.
old Firefox version very well.
So if Selenium is supporting it, then it should work on our side too. Okay, yeah, good to know.
Okay.
Perfect.
But I
All
will
right,
check anyway.
thanks, Tony. Okay, so as you can see, so we are an AI-powered codeless test automation solution. AI, it's important to note, it is not a buzzword for us. We've had AI built from the ground up in the solution for over 10 years, and our customers are using it quite heavily. So this is our own custom-built algorithms, right? So no third-party tools, but are really our own custom-built algorithms that are working pretty cool. We'll show you some of the stuff, unique functions that we have in the solution in a demo. We also offer a unified test management solution, which means with ACCELQ you get the best of both worlds. You have the part where you can build test cases, can run test cases, and then also the part where you can manage your test assets and your test cases, and then build out the reporting and the analytics, right? So you have that as well. For you, important is that we support web API and mobile testing out of the box. We also have support for desktop and, of course, your manual testing as well, right? So we're kind of an omni-channel or a tool-agnostic solution. We support all types of solutions out of the box. It could be also business-critical applications like SAP or Salesforce, any types of mobile applications, and we can run from any kind of environment, whether Windows, Linux, or mobile, because we're obviously a cloud-based solution. We have achieved the highest ranking, and we've achieved a leader rank in the 2022 Forrester Wave report, and we've held this position until today. So we've had it 3 years in a row so far, and as you can see, we've achieved the highest rank across the board in every category that was evaluated. So no other vendor, as you can see, has achieved this the same rank as we have. We've really achieved the highest points that you can get in each space. Again, from kind of a perspective of which customers we work with, for you, interesting to know, we work with a lot of airlines. Here we have a few more airlines which are not listed, but just a kind of a handful of customers. Also financial services, healthcare, and government, right? So from a security perspective, we comply with all security regulations and GDPR conformity and so on. So there's no issues there. But we also have seen all types of use cases, right? So there's nothing that we really can't control or test in ACCELQ. As an example, one of our biggest customers is United Airlines in the US. They have over 100 licenses with us, and they're testing their mobile application for customers to book their tickets, to do their checking, and they're also testing their web application. And then as that trickles down into all the different technologies that are involved, right? So back-end and front-end technologies, Salesforce for customer relationship management and tracking of customer information and data, but also their legacy systems, their mainframes, their POS, and so on. So they're using ACCELQ to test end-to-end the full cycle of a customer kind of journey. And it goes so far as they also test emails, email integrations. What do the emails look like? What's inside the email? Attachments, PDF attachments, and so on, right? And then they build out reports to share with different stakeholders, and those reports are shared then in Slack or Teams or whatnot, right? So you can see kind of the breadth and width of how they're implementing ACCELQ and what they're testing. Just one interesting note here is also that we have a 98% renewal rate. So our customers are renewing their license year over year, right? Which is really impressive to say. So clearly you have a very complex environment. You're an enterprise kind of level of organization with very complex setup. And this is also where we fit in, right? So in very complex enterprise environments. And there's some kind of there's some functionalities that are really important for enterprises and organizations that have very complex setups. And so on the one hand, we offer a design studio. This is where you can build out the processes for your automation, for your end-to-end automation, and allows you to kind of build out your test cases, the recording, and the code-free approach. We have, as you mentioned, you're interested in a low-code approach because you have manual testers and you want to be able to kind of bridge this gap of automation engineers and manual testers, right? And this is also where ACCELQ comes into place. So we have this low-code citizen development model, which means how do we bring manual testers and business analysts and people who have no coding experience into testing without using any kind of coding, right? And this is also where our AI and machine learning comes into place. So we use natural language automation, which means natural English language that me and you are using today to talk is what is also used to build out our automation, right? So very simply, launch Firefox browser, navigate to this URL, log in, click on this window, open this tab. Simply as I'm speaking right now is how we build test cases as well. So it's very easy for people from different levels and backgrounds to easily understand what the test case is saying or what is required and how to build those test cases. And we'll show you this in demo as well. We also have a deep world alignment with Agile and DevOps development methods. So we integrate in all the common tools at different stages. So we have shift left integration, shift right integration, and this could be things like Jenkins, Azure DevOps, Jira, GitHub, GitLab, you name it, right? So we don't have any issues there. And we're also an extensible system, right? So if there's any missing integrations, we can utilize external APIs to build out integrations for you as well. And there's no kind of obstacles in what we can automate and integrate into. So that's the beauty of the tools, that we're also very extensible into other solutions. But we already support quite a bit out of the box. In terms of our capabilities, what's interesting to you is, of course, the web automation piece. So there's no technology on there that we don't support in terms of web. So your typical Vue, Angular, Flutter, React. I understand, I think your application is a Flutter-based application, if I'm correct?
not right now. We are developing a new Flutter
Ah,
application.
okay.
Does it support that?
Yeah. So we
Oh, that's
support
great.
Flutter, Vue, Angular, React, you name it, right? Even other
That's
technologies, web-based technologies,
great.
right?
That's great.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. In terms of API, also, we support REST, SOAP, GraphQL, Kafka, and the great thing is we also have virtualization, which means if you're in an early stage of development, shift left strategies, and you have some APIs or databases missing, right? So they're not finished or completed yet, you can mock and virtualize API calls and database calls. So you can mimic and mock API calls and database calls. We also support desktop, of course, all the common kind of desktop applications that you can see, legacy and, mainframe and so on. And we also support native integration into Android and iOS. We also support hybrid applications and web on mobile. That means even if you launch a browser on your mobile and you want to go to a specific application or URL, we can test dynamic elements and ensure that the web page is displaying as it should be, right? So we have that accessibility and dynamic testing as well, right? And with native integration with iOS and Android, it's as simple as plugging in your USB cable, using the agent, and then being able to steer your application that's in on your phone. Here, there's just on a side note, so we do support kind of your business applications as well from a business perspective, but there's no reason to go into this for today. As I mentioned, so we do support DevOps and agile kind of development methodologies, and we adapt the way you work. So we ensure automation across the entire life cycle. And this means we integrate into things like Azure and Jira and Jenkins and so on, as mentioned. But we also have integrations with third-party farms. So things like BrowserStack, SauceLab, Perfecto, Lambda Test. Are any of those interesting to you for the kind of the web browser and mobile-based testing?
Not right now. We tried to
Okay.
use Source Labs in the past, but it didn't work for us.
Okay, so we have various options that are available,
Yeah.
and which allows you, and also built into ACCELQ, you can also run tests on various kind of infrastructures, right? So you can have various browsers that you can run on various devices, but we also support third-party containers as well. There's some important core functionality built into ACCELQ as well, things like inbuilt version control. So because we are a project-based solution, we are very team and project focused, which means you can have different project teams working on different elements of your solution or system under test. And we also have reusable test cases. So we are a model-based testing platform, which means you can take one test case and use it in different projects or different systems under test. And that means also that you have to be able to control the different versions of test cases. So we also have inbuilt version control. So maybe an admin user can look at the different versions and confirm or deny the changes and look at what the changes are amongst the test cases, right? The old versions and the new versions. Again, we have CI/CD alignment, and then with our test management, test case management solution, we have this change management and test asset management as well. So you can really control the changes that are going on in your projects, and manage test assets and move test assets here and there amongst the different projects. Any questions so far? Feel free to interrupt if you have any questions, and feel free to shout out your questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's important to us to reuse the objects. Is that possible?
Yeah.
When you
Absolutely.
say
So-
the object, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
When we develop in Java, we reuse the objects just to I don't know how to say it.
So maybe let me give you an idea, right? So first off, in ACCELQ you can reuse test cases, right? So you don't have to build.
Exactly. We reuse the cases. We don't start each scenario from scratch.
Okay.
we have dependencies between test cases. So that's
Exactly.
important to us because the test will be too long if we don't reuse the objects and if
Okay,
we don't reuse the
that's
test
Exactly.
cases.
I
Yeah,
get
I'm
it.
sorry.
No, no,
Yeah.
but then I understand what you mean by object. I mean, either it's a piece of a scenario or it's maybe an output that comes from a previous test, something like that, right?
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay. Then
Yeah.
it's fine.
Perfect. So that's there's support for this, and this is also how a lot of our customers use the solution, right? To reuse a lot of the assets and the test cases, and not having to build things from scratch and be able to have components that are associated to each other on different steps.
Okay, that's great.
Perfect. In terms of AI, right? So again, as I mentioned, so AI for us is not a buzzword. We've had it for over 10 years. We built the solution from the ground up with AI. So as I mentioned, our natural language automation offers zero coding, right? So both manual testers and advanced engineers are able to build test cases very efficiently. Um, but also this means that we use a locator-free approach. We understand that when you're releasing your software from one version to another, there are some changes that could happen on an HTML level, on the DOM level, and so we use a locator-free approach, which is very easy to maintain, right? So that means when you are running your test cases, you don't have to go back and fix test cases with every release or every change. Those are automatically handled by ACCELQ, which means we have self-healing in place. And self-healing kicks in when it detects a change from one update to the other, and will then automatically fix the test case for you. So you don't have to go back and change anything. And this is done because we have a locator-free approach. So we use the UI elements to build test cases rather than the locators, and this is very easy to maintain. And also for non-coders and non-developers, it's also very easy to use and understand. We also have a standard kind of recorder function, which allows where there's AI capabilities involved as well. And this means it is very easy for us to detect elements and steerable objects on your system under test. So if it's a table, there's a way to fill out the tables very efficiently and very quickly. If you have buttons and various drop-down menus, it's very easily detectable through AI that we've built in. So it automatically detects the steerable elements and how to handle those elements as well. Again, as mentioned, so we support your typical web interfaces and technologies. Also from APIs and mobile testing, we support different types of technologies there. So that's kind of what ACCELQ is in a nutshell, right? And I think that kind of brings me to the end of the presentation. One thing I did want to note, and if this could be of interest to you, is that we have implementation services, right? So let me just show you the screen quickly.
Okay.
This is it. Just have to fix the slide so we can see it. Perfect. So let's share. I just want to be quite fast so you have enough time to also see the solution. Windows and ACCELQ. So by the way, this is the use case with United Airlines. Similar to you, they had thousands of test cases, and with self-healing, they've been able to reduce over 67% of the cost and effort required into maintaining test cases, right? So being able to have almost 80% of reusability across the test cases and the test assets, and then really reducing the maintenance part, right? And they've really been able to achieve almost 2x faster testing cycles. In terms of our implementation services, so what we offer for customers who have urgent projects and want to have a quick deployment with ACCELQ is, so you can have a consultant from our side who is dedicated to your team. So he's an add-on to your team. And basically his job is to quickly build out test cases for you, to migrate some of your test cases, and then to run tests and begin to report back on the success, right? And this is called this is a way to enable success, but also a way to enable your team quickly on ACCELQ, right? So it's called implementation services. And it's not similar to training. So with licenses, you also get training and enablement, but this is kind of a project, an enablement for you. We quickly allow you to implement ACCELQ with a specialist, and he builds out test cases for you together with your team, right? So an additional service that we offer if you want to have implementation services as well. But we can share those, of course, in detail, and we can discuss this all in due time. But just to kind of give you an idea that this service is available in case you would like to have something like this as well to help you quickly implement ACCELQ without a lot of delay. Perfect. So that's it from my side. Jean-Luc, the floor is yours. Any questions so far before we jump into the demo? Perfect. All right, Jean-Luc.
Okay, let's go. Yeah, I need 20 minutes, something like that. So hopefully you have that time available for the demo. Okay, I will try to make it like this. And if we need additional time, maybe we will reschedule. And by the time I will have the time to check for the 51 version of Firefox and the stuff like that. Okay. So yeah, am I sharing something? Not yet.
Not yet. Do you need us to record the session? Would we record the session for you?
We are already recording.
Okay.
Sorry.
Good to know. No problem. Okay. I mean, we're happy to record, of course, so no issues there.
Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah, let's start with So ACCELQ is definitely a cloud-based platform, which means that you just need a browser to connect and access your test automation. It's, by the way, it's structured by a project. You can have as many projects as you need. Can be, for the different applications you may have, or end-to-end testing. I mean, again, up to you. And for your project, you can connect to requirement and defect management just to ease, I would say, your ALM process and provide, I would say, full traceability, helping you also to probably select the tests which are related to such or such requirements or user stories. And on the opposite side, when you know that some defects are fixed, maybe you want to select the relevant test and to rerun them for regression purposes. So out of the box, we provide a lot of integrations. I mean, with most of the tools on the market, Azure DevOps, Jira, to name a few of them. Regarding pipeline management, it's another integration, but of course we have it for GitHub. If I remember well, you mentioned GitHub, and we provide, I would say, documentation on how to make it. Okay. Version control is also embedded in the tool in case you need it. The idea behind the scenes is to make sure that, and you were talking about object and how to reuse them. If you have version control enabled, then you can, I would say, check in and check out the different objects and make sure that you can release them at the same pace as you have to check your application. So you can have, let's say, older versions of your test that can still be executed on an old version of your application, while probably the most recent one is dedicated for the upcoming release. Okay, so those features, I mean, integration, version control, they can be enabled or disabled on every single project. So that also is useful when you have, I would say, sometimes you have, let's say, advanced experienced teams where they all need, that stuff. And when it's just for manual testing or people that are not that used to deal with IT tools, probably you just give them a chance to do a bit of automation and without a version control and maybe with maybe not all the features. Okay, but it's up to you. And it's role-based, which means that once you have a license, on some project you can be, here as an example, you can be a QA engineer, meaning that you can create tests, update tests, whatever. And on some others, you're just, I would say, a viewer invited to review the reports and maybe run a couple of things. Again, project-based. Okay. So, and quite easy to switch from a project to another. The idea that it's by project, it means also that you can reuse, I would say, tests or components when I say components, it's reusable actions from a project to another. The idea is just to make sure that there is only a single definition of what you need and you don't have duplicates. Okay. But it's an advanced feature. Okay, it's part of the license at no extra cost. Either you use it or not. Okay. Now let's move on. Here, what you have on the screen is what we call the universe. Basically, universe is a high-level view of your automation. Here, I have already selected one of my scenario, and on the left-hand side, actually, I have the graphical representation of my flow, meaning that I can, have a look at the different stage of the flow. I can also review some of the transitions. The idea behind the scenes is to help non-technical guys. I mean, definitely the ones that are sometimes not involved or not too much in automation, but it's there to ease the understanding of what is automated. Sometimes you have a business analyst or a subject matters expert that definitely knows what it's expected from the application. I mean, going from A to Z and what are the inputs and outputs and things to make it. And of course, there's someone else, I mean, doing the automation. You on the call. And sometimes there's a kind of a mismatch between what is expected and what is really implemented. Everything is going well. I mean, you run the test on a daily basis, everything is green, and until you discover that sometimes, you're not handling such or such case, not all the data that you may expect, because it's too complex, to dig into the code. Here, it's quite simple. You have the flow on the right-hand side. You can even review or have an understanding of what are the inputs and the outputs. You can even understand that some, outputs are reused into the next steps. So it's really convenient, okay, without the need to go into the details, without the need to even to understand some code, even if there is no code in this application, but definitely you get it, okay? And if you also need to understand what are the data, in play when it comes to, data drive the test, you can review them in an easy way. The layout that we provide is definitely the same as the one that we are using for the test scenario. Here it's, as straight as possible, and it's really convenient to understand the way you deal with the data. And if the data, by the way, they are, associated with lists or ranges of numbers, you can also expect the tool to help you generate additional test cases to make sure that your test coverage is at its best, I would say. Okay, making sure that at least every different values is used once in the test scenarios, and then you can make sure that you cover most of the test cases. Okay, and the beauty of that is that if you then improve the scenario with additional parameters and additional steps, here you can regenerate the test data on the fly. You just click here and you will be prompted additional test cases. You just have to review them and make sure that you're good to go with them. Okay, it's really convenient. Okay. And yeah, before maybe I jump into how to implement it, just a few words about how you can run, I would say, a scenario or a set of scenario. Basically, you have different options available for executing tests as part of the platform. One is definitely run now, which is on demand. Make it yours right now. Select the test cases that you want to run, and the action will be performed. Scheduling is, regarding runs at night or once a week, whatever. Depending on the way you're organized. Some teams, they don't have, a pipeline, but they need to run tests again once a week at least. That's what they can have here, without the need to have a pipeline manager. But if you have GitHub, as you mentioned, or another CI tool, and the pipeline is definitely managed elsewhere, you can just create a CI job, and then the CI job, it will just, save the different settings that you have here, like as an example, select Firefox as the default browser, or if it's a mobile app, select if it's Android or iOS device, or I would say the the properties that you look for the device. If it's, by the way, related to one of the different environments that you have, the nice thing also with ACCELQ is that we are, let's say, environment aware, which means that a same scenario can be executed with different, I would say, values settings for the different environments that you may have along your pipeline. And you don't need to have, let's say, some duplicates regarding the scenario. We can, just apply the relevant settings like URLs, username, passwords, and other settings that you may have to match the environment that you target. That way, you can run the same scenario several times along your pipeline and make sure that, it fully tests what you have to test. Okay. And again, reusability is the key here is, make sure that you can leverage what you have already, just change the environment. Okay. Among the few options that you have here, web performance is one that we see a lot, especially for web application. The idea is to be able to compare two different runs and to detect potential, I would say, downtime or slow time, and make you aware that maybe just because you introduced a new feature, it takes additional time. That way, it. It's not a stressed test, okay, but at least it's just to detect that it's getting slower and slower. Self-healing is definitely one that most of the people enable during execution. Is the fact that if you have some tiny changes on the UI, like a spelling mistake, or spelling change, or maybe a field that has, when I say has changed, sometimes you have it unique on the screen, and sometimes it becomes, it happens several times. That's the kind of features that self-healing is able to manage. Thanks to AI, it will locate the proper field. You will get a notification for that, but it will manage the test and make sure that it can run. And if it's fine for you, it can update the changes so that on the next run, you don't have to use self-healing anymore. Rerun as well can take place in case if there's a failure. You can ask the platform to rerun the test automatically after a couple of seconds or whatever, up to a certain amount of execution until you definitely think that if it fails 5 times, then it means it's a failure, and probably you have to review it and create a defect. Okay, notification can take place as well here on some options, and among the options, email, Slack, Teams. I think you mentioned Slack. So using a webhook, you can get notified. On the channel, and then anyone knows about the status of this execution. Okay, that's part of I would say the different options that you have regarding an execution. And once the test or set has been executed, you will have the dashboard updated with the latest results, some data statistics that comes with, of course, the execution. You can customize some of them. If you have some KPIs, they can be computed as what we call perspectives here, and stable runs, things like that. But of course, if you want to look at some results, here is one of that I have. All reports are presented like this. So again, somehow it's using the same layout as the one that you have for a scenario. The different actions, the inputs, outputs, which are taking place. Quite interesting when you are dealing with dynamic data and not hard-coded ones. And sometimes you wonder why they are, or some things are tight or used in the scenario. At least it brings additional information here, and you have all the details, step by step, in plain English, with a lot of information that can be reviewed just by a simple click. Here, as an example, I have screenshots for all the different actions that took place during the execution, and the element that was steered is highlighted as part of the screenshot. So really convenient to understand, what happened during the execution. Of course, you can review all the different steps like this, and in case there is a potential failure and you think it makes sense to create a defect, you just have, to, if integration is set, you just have to report it. And it will take, it will happen right away. You can also capture, reuse some of the screenshots to add them to your ticket, and the ticket Once it's created, you can review it, I mean, in the tool of your choice. Again, Jira for the demo purpose, but it can be the tool of your choice. Okay, and everything is there, including the traceability from the test and everything, and that's quite useful when you then have to jump back into ACCELQ or review additional details, rerun the job in case it makes sense, especially if it's a pipeline job. Probably can make sense to have a look at the job itself. All of the information is provided as part of the plugin that we provide with the defect management tool. Okay. Now, if you wonder how we do automation, and I think it's definitely meaningful for you, basically here I've jumped into what we call the design studio. Basically, this is where you have the automation taking place, and what is provided as part of the automation is always in plain English, regardless the technology which is involved. I mean, if it's web application, mobile application, desktop application, you will always get that kind of plain English statement. And how to build those statements? So basically, you can have a command line, like if I want to enter some text on a web input, whatever, you can see that here, IntelliSense, is looking at available, I would say, comments for you, and then it's quite easy to find the relevant one. Maybe not the most convenient one, I would say, but if, let's say, you don't have any UI, or if you want to deal with a database, REST API calls, whatever, sometimes that's what you have to do, because there is no UI, definitely. So if I start to type database, as an example, you can see that we support most of the ones on the market, and then you just have to follow the steps, create a connection, deal with a SQL statement, whatever. Okay, but if we have let's say a UI in place and you wonder how to make it, definitely it's quite convenient, because on the right hand side I can just display the application I want to test. Here is it's a Salesforce example application. Okay, but we can have additional ones, and of course, if you want to try out the solution, you will be able to test your own application. Makes sense, okay? And then on the right-hand side, you can also notice that it's, let's say, it's an advanced browser. It's not only displaying your application. You can see that you have highlighted areas on the screen in blue. This is definitely some elements that can be identified by the platform. And so two options are available to me as I would say the automation engineer. So either I just click on the element. I mean, if I have to perform a click, let me just show you here, line 23. This is where the magic will happen. If I just want to record a click on this new button, I just click on new, like I would do it manually, I would say. And so the statement has been added on the left-hand side. So line 23 now, you can see that it's click on new on the web page, wherever on the page, and basically the action was performed. So let's say on the single click, I was able once to record what I want to achieve, and also to make sure that it runs. It's really important. For me, it's like, you collect, you record and you debug at the same time. Because sometimes, you will notice that the object is not unique, whatever. If there is a potential failure, you will detect it right now. Much better than if you have just a plain recorder that is recording everything, anything all the time, and then you have to debug. Okay, here it's, it's like when you develop a user story, the smallest ones are the easiest ones usually to test and to make sure that it's fine. When you have epics, it's an epic. Okay, so the same for test automation. So if you can make sure that every tiny change, every tiny thing that you add to the test can definitely be achieved, that's much more convenient. Okay. Now, if as an example here, and just to make it short, but again, I can continue. If I need to type some phone number, whatever, I can continue to do that. And again, statement added here. No pain for you. Okay. You have 20 fields. You can continue like this 20 times, no problem. Or you decide to go for, another, let's say, advanced mode that we provide. Here, you see, I was able to, I would say, to highlight a bigger part of the form, and I can use what we call smart forms. And smart forms here are there either to deal with typing, putting data into the forms, or also for a verification point. But here, at a glance, I can see, okay, I have up to 16 fields. I can maybe deal with some of them, like and reorganizing them the way I want, to introduce some information in the form. Like I want to deal with the company, maybe the name of yeah, ACCELQ, whatever. I can deal with additional information. The others, I leave them blank. If I want to save the form and continue, I can just say, okay, please click on that specific button, like save, as an example. And it will just add the statement in my, you see, 25, 20, up to 26 or 28 or 29. And once it's done, you're good to go. Okay, the statements have been added. You have already recorded, the piece of scenario that you wanted. Okay, it's really convenient, really easy, and by the way, easy to review as well. This is where also the beauty of that solution. With Selenium, just to deal with one or two controls, you have 10 lines of code, ugly parentheses. Definitely it's a pro code, which means that only the people that knows about Selenium knows about the language, and you were talking about Java, can read, review, and maybe, adjust what has been recorded. Here, you can provide that content to, I would say, business analysts. They can understand what you have done. And by the way, they can also review it, and maybe they can do some tiny changes, like, yeah, it's maybe that's not the name of the field. They can come here and they can update it. Or if it's not exactly last name, but it should probably start with something like that, they can just switch for another options. You don't have to be a black belt in a regular expression or things like that to make it happen. It's still easy to read and easy to maintain. This is where we are, really good at, and we shine for automation. And you can also notice that most of the time we do what we call locator-free approach, which means that we are able to locate the information on the screen, regardless the IDs or the technical information which is behind the scene. And from there, we can locate the nearest, I would say, input field, and we put the relevant information for that. Or we can check its value if it's verifying the value that we want to check. Okay. Again, really convenient, easy to read and to maintain. That's the key thing for ACCELQ. And of course, since I have recorded a couple of things here, if I want to make them reusable or to package them, factor them, the elements that I want, and I can convert them into reusable actions. Okay, then it's I would say two-step flow, like my action, something like that. Just to make it short, I'm already over the time I've said. Let's say init page, whatever. That's the context. The context is here just to make sure that if I do a few things, I can sync with the page before I perform the operation. Here I can also rework on what I've hard-coded as the values to leverage some potential inputs or outputs. And here it is. The steps will be converted. It will be replaced by the name of my action is now is my action. But if I want to review it, I can jump into it, and you can see that all the parameters have been replaced. Again, easy to read, easy to convert as a reusable block. And of course, since my action now is defined, I can reuse it anywhere, all the time. It's all there, right? It's really, really easy to deal with. Okay. So that was it for me. 20 minutes is really short for a demo. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have questions, I'm available to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. We use dynamic IDs. So, for example, we have a table with passengers. Each passenger has an unique ID. So how do you deal with that? Because the passenger ID is different in this flight, but for another flight, it can be a different ID.
Yeah.
So we have to introduce some logic to identify those elements. So how do you deal with this?
So if that's something that we can maybe have a look. If you have maybe later, for another session, maybe if you have time to share the application with me, that's something I can have a look, and just to avoid, I would say, useless answers from me. But basically, either you have, let's say, an information regarding the passenger, like if we over the cell of the table and you show the name of the passenger, which is something that is indeed, probably it's unique, then it's fine. We can locate that based on the name of the passenger. If it's just a cell, if it's a table, then you have a row and a column. We can deal with that as well as part of the options. By the way, we have what we call a container. Basically, a container is a kind of, I would say, object where then we can ask AI to have a look at the different objects which are contained in that container, and maybe to give him, let's say, a rule for locating the different elements. So let's say if your plane, if your plane is a set of passengers and yeah, we can describe what is the container, again, the plane. Then probably it's easy to locate probably the first passenger, then the second one, or again, one of the passenger based on its name or based on whatever. But yeah, probably would be useful. I have things in mind, but maybe, yeah, if one day, if for the next session, maybe you can share your application with me or just to show me the application, maybe I can definitely answer your question better with more accuracy.
Okay, can we do that in another session?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Maybe
yeah,
I can ask for an authorization to share our data with you
yeah.
because I
Oh,
think
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's the best approach
yeah,
that
definitely,
we can do.
because
Yeah.
yeah, but believe
Also,
me, definitely doable.
yes. Also, we execute a huge amount of test cases, but they are divided by classes. For example, we have a check-in class where
Mm-hmm.
we have all the check-in test cases, but the first, but based on preconditions. For example, login, create just one flight, and just select that flight. From that, we start to execute all the test cases related. So, how do you deal with that? Because we perform that separate, divided by classes, and the next class maybe it won't need to log in again, but maybe we need to create a different schedule or a different flight. So is that
Mm,
possible to
yeah,
execute that
there
regression
are a
that
couple
huge?
of yes, there are a couple of options available because of course, you can have logic as part of the test, like loops, if then conditions. So that could be a kind of, we have a template like you log in and then, yeah, based on some records or numbers of elements, or yeah, we iterate a couple of times. That could be an option. If it's to have a way to select some scenarios or test cases, we can use tags because all different actions and especially scenarios, you can tag them. So then you know that I don't know if it's for the economy or if it's for such or such company. There are different options that yeah, we can use for that. But yeah, still doable. On Salesforce, as an example, usually, yeah, you log in once, you do a couple of things, yeah, just to as an example to convert all the leads that you have into opportunities. And yeah, indeed, you don't have to log in, convert an opportunity, log out, log in again. It's no, it's you iterate. So that's definitely things that we can do.
Okay, that's great.
And again, the action, the one on which you have to iterate, we make sure that it's defined once, and we just do the iteration, right?
Okay. So for huge amount of the cases execution, like a regression, the the application is not gets slow or something, or is just
Yours, no,
clear
for
for us.
I mean, that's part of the. I mean, sometimes the. I mean, I can't say the challenge, but definitely, I think you know about your application. I mean, the one that you want to test, and especially, I was when I was talking about, the environment that you're targeting. Usually, if it's let's say a low environment, you know that the resources are limited, RAM, CPU, and you can't scale, right? Um, so that's something that I would say you have to have in mind. And but at least we provide. I mean, let's assume you have a pre-prod environment, which is, I mean, a huge size and I mean, all resources. Um, you can run them. I mean, you can run the test cases in parallel. At least it will save
Uh-huh.
time. If we have let's say 20 agents available, you can run them. I mean, by I would say by batch of 20, right? But then if you know that, let's say you have, because we provide, yeah, again, we just provide you 20 agents, but you know that you're targeting the test environment. I mean, the lowest one with just, let's say, one RAM, 1 giga RAM for on Amazon, whatever. You know that you have just to limit it up to, I would say, 5 parallel runs. Otherwise, yeah, the application starts to slow down. That's the kind of thing. Here you can say, okay, up to 20, but max 5. That's the kind of, just to make sure that you will not crash the application. So it's all there at no extra cost. It's just you setting the scenes for your execution. Okay. And of course, we can create what we call profiles. That way, you don't have to deal with those settings all the time. They are saved as a profile, and you just, let's say, load the profile of your choice. Okay.
Okay.
And that's really
Okay.
interesting if you have a pipeline, by the way,
Yes.
that kind of option.
Any
So we
other
have a lot
questions?
of things. Now, by the moment, I think we're good. So the next
Um,
step is what?
so um, So typically how we do it with customers is basically, we can have another session if you want in a
Mm-hmm.
bigger team. We can have deep dive on specific topics. We can discuss how this goes along. But typically what we do is we go into a pricing call. And so we can agree on
Okay.
kind of a price and understand what your budget is. And then if you're happy, we can progress into a POC, right? And we do this complimentary. It's a free POC that we do. And basically you give us a set of requirements or maybe a use case, and we can prove the tool's technical capabilities. So that's kind of the approach that most customers go down with us. And then if they're happy, we go into kind of negotiations in contracts and how this should look, security and so on.
So it's not possible to you to provide us a free trial version or something?
Sure, we have a 14-day trial, which we typically give to the customers, but we would rather do the POC first because it's also a learning opportunity for you.
Mm-hmm.
So if we give you the trial now, you would know how to use it, how to get things working, right? It needs
Exactly.
a bit of a learning curve. And so the fear would be just that you might have a negative feeling from it, that it's, that we would maybe it would be successful. I think if you saw the POC and how Jean-Luc does things, and then you have a bit of a learning from him as well, you understand how he's setting up things. It's a good learning for you, and then we give you the trial access, and you can go ahead and try it yourself.
So, okay, we can decide that in the next meeting with you.
Mhm.
So we can
Sure.
discuss more
Yeah.
concerns that we can have more details, more technical details, and after that we can see if a free trial can work
Sure.
with us for that short of time.
Sure.
Yeah, let's see. So in the next meeting, I understand that do you need to talk about the budget and the prices, right?
So yeah, I mean, I'm happy to send you a proposal, right? We don't have to also go into a call. If you just tell me roughly what license you have, and the number of licenses you said between, I think it was,
Okay.
yeah. What did you tell me? So I could already do your proposal if you want with how many licenses did you say? 7 licenses, right? So if you want, I can do a proposal with 7 licenses and send it to you. That's also a way to do it.
Okay, let me see. Right now, we can work with. No, David Matis. No. Give me a
So
second.
yeah,
Actually, our team is 10 people.
okay, 10
No,
people.
sorry. No, no, no.
Yeah,
9
yeah,
people. 9
9
people.
people.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, do they all need access? So you're looking at web API and mobile, right? Capabilities. But do they all need mobile capabilities, or is it just a small number of team who are doing mobile? Because then I would be able to reduce the price as well for you, right? So if you have an idea of who is doing what exactly, then not everybody needs the full license. You could do like maybe somebody only has the access to the mobile and API testing. We can play around with a bit and find out the cost-effective method for you.
Okay, but we can explore both options.
Sure.
Maybe a reduce or mobile automation team, or maybe
Mhm.
included for whole team. So
Okay.
it will be good to have both options
So
from
how
you.
many mobile roughly do you have? Is it 2 or 3 people doing mobile?
Uh, in this moment in our team, yeah,
Yeah,
our mobile team are 2 people, but
2 people.
the
Yeah.
idea is to everyone can work
Okay.
with mobile.
So
So, or maybe have it for, I don't know, maybe 5 people or
yeah.
6.
So exactly. So I can do the full 9 licenses as one option, and you see the price of that. And then I can do 5 normal licenses, the full licenses, and 4 mobile, just mobile licenses, right, with API. And then you can choose, see the options or how the costs are.
Okay, because
Yeah.
API, everyone needs it.
Exactly. Every
Uh,
API is anyway included out of the box for everybody. It's
okay,
no
that's
no
great.
option there. Yeah.
So
So
the
it's just
mobile,
the
yeah,
mobile
sorry.
piece if you need it. Yeah. So just the mobile piece if you need it. If we can spread that out a bit, maybe it'll be a bit of a cost-effective opportunity for you.
Sorry if maybe I didn't understand well. So the mobile license is different from the old
No.
stack?
So just to inform you. So basically, API is with both, right? Web and mobile. But we
Okay.
have the option to uh, reduce the mobile license to only mobile, right? So we have the option to have a license that's specifically for mobile, and that just helps reduce the costs for customers. So
Okay.
that's why what I'm saying is I would do 2 options for you. I would do, for instance, 9 full licenses that can do everything, web and mobile. And then I will do a second option where you have maybe 5 full licenses and then 4 just for mobile. And then you can see, if that works for you or not, right? And we can always play around with it, just so you can have an idea of what the
Exactly.
costs look like. Yeah,
Okay, okay, I understand. Thank you.
perfect. No worries. All right. Should we set up a call for next session just to kind of review anything, discuss technical questions, just to kind of keep the momentum going?
Yes, that would be
Okay,
great.
perfect. Then just share a date that works for you and your team, and we will
Uh,
see if we are available.
yes, actually, this time it works for us, the same
Okay.
time. Yeah, maybe
Okay.
next
So
Tuesday
next
or.
Tuesday.
Mhm. Is
Okay.
that
So next Tuesday.
possible for you?
Okay, so next Tuesday, same time, should be fine for you.
Yes, Miguel. Otra reunión el otro martes a la misma hora, at 11 Colombian time. Miguel,
Mhm.
¿te suena?
Sí, no hay problema, yo trato de gestionarlo. Hágale.
Vale. Yes, okay, that works for us.
Perfect. Okay, then I will send the invite for next Tuesday, same time.
Thank you.
Perfect. All right. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions in the meantime. I'll follow up with an email with some info with the presentation and some interesting resources for you to look through.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay,
Appreciate it. Thank
okay.
you.
Enjoy your day. Bye bye.
Thanks. You too. Thanks. Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Jean-Luc. Bye.